Hi everyone, welcome back to Novel Nomad and welcome to a really early Sunday morning. Now you're probably wondering, why am I up at roughly 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning? That is because I'm taking part in the Pioneer Women's Trail, which is a 22k walk from Hahndorf to Beaumont, which is part of the Adelaide Hills. And I'm not doing the full walk, I'm only going to be doing it from Stirling to Beaumont, and this is all part of History Month. So today I thought I might introduce my very first original book tag, and it's called On the History Trail. It is for anyone who loves historical fiction, historical places, historical movies, history in general. If you study it, that is awesome. Alright, see you on the trail. Hi guys, just a little check-in. I am probably about a K or so into the walk, and it is amazing. This trail actually recognises all the German refugees who came over in the early 1830s. They were Lutheran refugees, and they settled up in the Adelaide Hills in a little town called Hahndorf. And they used to walk 35 k's from Hahndorf to the city, carrying yokes of produce just to sell at the markets. And these women would start walking at midnight, and they'll get to where we're going to be going, to Beaumont, around about 4 a.m. in the morning, and then they'll continue down. But not only that, they wouldn't just stop there, they would sell their produce and then walk 35 k's back up the hills to home. And I suppose it was a bit of an excursion, a bit of fun, something that could get them out of their village. But also I think it was a time to just have some independence. But of course there were dangers on the road as well. And I think they faced like different bushrangers and ruffians, of course, trying to steal the produce. But it's just amazing what these pioneer women did. So I hope you enjoy the tag, and I'll get started on the first one. Okay, so question one is first steps. What introduced you to history or historical fiction? This can be a book, a movie, a person, or a place. For me, I think what fun thing introduced me to history was Carmen Sandiego. I touched on that in my other video. It was a really good game. Kind of took you back in time and you got to experience all different eras. Secondly, I think definitely seeing the Book of Kells, that was beautiful, but I think that kind of inspired me to look more into social history, looking at how people created things, how people lived at the time, and what inspired people to create art within their community. So that was definitely a great inspiration. Of course, my grandparents were a wonderful inspiration, looking into their own histories, into the more modern history. That was fantastic. Okay, so question number two, sorry it's a bit rocky here, is Well-Trodden Path. What is your favourite history or historical fiction to recommend? I have two. One of my favourites is The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult, because I think that's great for people who don't often read very much in the way of historical fiction, because not only do you have historical fiction, you have a modern day setting, and you also have a fairy tale. So it has a great combination of all three. And the way Jodi Picoult manages to weave the story in is just so much more emotional, and it's just a beautiful story. So that's definitely one I would recommend to everyone, really. And my second one is one of my favourites. It's called The Beast Garden. It's by Kate Forsyth, another World War II story. And that one is a Beauty and the Beast retelling set in Nazi Germany, and it's actually on the German side. So it's about a German couple who one's a beauty and one's the beast, and she thinks he's very beastly because he's in the Nazi party. So it is a very interesting book and a retelling of the Beauty and the Beast story. So I absolutely love it, and for all you American readers, I think it's actually the rights are being sold to the US, because it is by Kate Forsyth, who's an Australian author. Alright, so question number 3 is good boots. what is your favourite historical fashion era? Now, I have to admit, I love the 19th century. I think just from the diversity of the fashion at the time, it is just so beautiful in the way it goes from the Empire line all the way to the wonderful puff sleeves of the Edwardian era, very late Victorian. And I'll have to recommend Ruth Goodman's How to Be a Victorian for how to wear wonderful Victorian garb. And I think it's very fitting that I'm doing a Victorian woman's walk and loving their outfits, but I don't think I could have done this walk and worn a corset and all the boots and shawls and skirts. I think I like my sneakers. Thanks very much. Hi everyone, we've got an uprooted tree right here, so we have to go around. It's blocking the path. So we've got question 4, which is close to home. What is a historical read, history, non-fiction or otherwise, that is set in your local home country or local area? Mine I'm recommending is a fictional book called The Three Miss Allens by Victoria Perman. It is based in South Australia and it's set in the 1930s. So it is a wonderful book, and it does have a bit of a modern twist where you go back and try to discover the mystery of what happened. But I always love finding books that are actually set in South Australia because they are few and far between. So yeah, it's great. So question number 5 is the path not taken. What historical eras do you tend to avoid? So the historical eras that I tend to avoid is medieval Europe. I find I prefer the complexities of social classes and reforms that happened within the 1500s and onwards. So unfortunately, medieval Europe is not really a big fascination of mine, but I make an exception for medieval fantasies. I do like some sword fights in those, so that's probably the rare exception. Question number 6 is trail map. What books are on your TBR, history reads or non-fiction? Alright, so we're about halfway, and in my trail map question, what books are on my TBR to read? There are actually 2 non-fiction. One is called The History of Britain in 21 Women, which is about all 21 women who influenced the politics, society, science, everything like that of England, and it's really great to actually get a feminist history because many of the female stories have been overlooked. And the second book that I really want to read is Hidden Figures. Now, I think everyone knows the movie that came out, but this is actually the book that inspired the movie. It's by Margot Lee Shetterly, and it's about some African-American mathematicians, female mathematicians, who helped America get into space. And apparently it is not only an amazing book, but it's an amazing movie, so I want to at least read both of those. Alright, question 7 is pioneers. What historical person inspires you? And mine has always been Mary Wollstonecraft. Not only was she a writer, a philosopher, but she was also a very early feminist, and she wrote The Vindication for the Rights of Women, which is a very powerful feminist piece back from the 1750s, and I think she was an absolutely inspiring person. But also I am inspired by any women who are in the field of science and maths and STEM projects, just because they have to break so many molds and society barriers just to get where they want to go and to achieve their dreams. Okay, so that concludes the history trail tag. And I am going to tag 3 lovely people. I'm going to tag, obviously, Kate Howe, because I know she loves historical fiction. I'm also going to tag April from Getting Cute with It. I'm going to link her down below. You should definitely check her out. She is hilarious, and she recently got a big book haul of historical fiction too. And a bit closer to home, I'm going to tag Ange from Beyond the Pages. She is a very big classics reader, so I think she might have a few favourite history moments. But if you want to do this tag, definitely go ahead, do it, and link it down below. I'd love to see everyone's answers to these questions. So I'm just going to have a bit more footage of the walk, and I hope you enjoy. I'll see you next time. Bye.